there, and there you go. Woo! Almost on time, almost late, almost on time. I don't know where I'm going live, don't know what's what, but here I am. So what we're talking about today, we're talking about day three. Day three, courtroom communication. Now, I don't know if I should turn that light off because it's doing my head in a little bit behind me, but there we go. We'll leave that there as it is. Or maybe we should just move it a little bit, move my head slightly. So I just move my head there. Let's not do my head in. Don't do my nut in. So I don't know where it's going live. I don't know who's seeing it from where. I don't know what's what. So I don't want people moaning about the fact that they can't see it. If I move it there, how about if I move it that way around? That way around? Is that better? That's better, isn't it? Sort of. I have to make do. So here we are. So I wish I could have. I've been here, there, and everywhere today. My hair's a bit needs cutting, but there you go. We're not worried about the hair. It's about the content and what I'm talking about here today. So let's just have a bit of a recap as to what we've been talking about all week, what I've been talking about all week. Monday was making sure you've got the right mindset. That was an early morning. Live, and it was meant to be throughout the course of the day as well. However, things got tied up, and I got slightly busy and didn't do too much during the course of the day. But that was, I've got a video, and a few people have emailed me asking for the questionnaires on those. So that's all good. If anyone needs anything from the lives that I've done and you want extra information, please don't hesitate to give me a shout and give me a call. So we've got that. So that was about making sure your mindset's on point. And yesterday was about evidence and making sure that we've got the right amount of evidence in court and how important your evidence is. We don't need MP4s. We don't need videos. Most of the stuff you're going to have, unless it's you, nine times out of 10 as a man, you will have, if you're under false allegations, you will have all the proof that you need to show that you don't, that what's being said about you is porky pies, basically. And if you don't, then it's going down to probability, and it's not the end of the world, because what the courts are really good at doing, is finding out and assessing who's telling the truth and who's telling porky pies. I'm just going to turn it down that way, see if that makes a difference. Does that make a difference on there? Might make a difference. Just right. So we just what I'm going to be doing, what I've actually decided that I'm going to do as well, right? Because this is all just practice. It's free. Hopefully, people are getting some good thoughts and some good ways of dealing with stuff. We're doing this because it's for doing this sort of week-long thing because I'm going to be repeating this on YouTube. I'll be repeating it on TikTok, so that I can get better at doing my presenting, and that works for everybody. So that's what the plan is. And today we're talking about communication. So when you're going through court, and when you are, and the amount of people that tell me, oh, they've come out of court and no one spoke to me, no one said nothing to me, no one said this, no one said that, and they just ignored me. They ignored everything I said. They didn't want to listen to what I'm saying. And I'm like, well, okay. There's a time and a place for each hearing. Yes, each thing. You want to go into court. And you want to argue your point and tell the court straight off that you are being honest and you're being truthful, and there is nothing to see here. So why do we have to carry on? That's what you want to do. You want to go in there and say, why are we even wasting our time with this? Because this is all nonsense. Unfortunately, the courts don't see it as just nonsense because an allegation has been made, and sometimes they're serious allegations, sometimes they're not so serious allegations. Regardless, there's a child involved. So what you need to remember, and we were talking about this yesterday, is, and this is where people go wrong, people are more inclined to be selfish when it comes to this sort of area. Now, if you put yourself in a situation where you've got, how can you put it? So you've got, imagine, I've got this as a true story. It's a true story. So there's clients that have been in court with their ex-wives, ex-girlfriends. They've got a child with the ex-wife girlfriend. That ex-wife girlfriend is going into a new relationship. That new relationship ends up being abusive. That person who's abusing the ex-partner and the service user's child the professionals, when they put all this thing in place, when they put everything in place, all these protective measures in place, when they put all these protective measures in place, and it's a proper victim of domestic abuse, and it's a proper victim of domestic violence, and it's protecting your child, then you're like, well, this is a good thing. It's a positive thing. What we don't like, what we hate, and what's not very nice when we're dealing with is when we are actually the people who are being accused, and that's what hurts. And I see it for years. I've been seeing it. We feel hard done by, and rightly so, I suppose, to a certain extent. That we feel hard done by, that we've not been able to. We're being restricted from seeing our children, even though there's potentially a boyfriend in the house, new partner in the house that hasn't been checked, hasn't been sort of signed off to be okay to be around your kids, and they're spending more time with your child than what you are, and they're probably got more of a reputation. You probably know more about them or scared about them than what, and they're probably more of a risk than what you are. Yet you're being restricted from seeing your children. And I've had situations where that's been the case, and it's frustrating. But then when it's working on your side, when it's in your favor, when it's protecting your child, that's when it's beneficial. That's when you want to sit there. When you've got false allegations and continually more and more false allegations coming at you, and you're not getting into court, and you want to tell the world you're going to have your first hearing, and you want to tell everyone what's going on, but the judge doesn't want to hear what's going on in your first hearing, doesn't want to know anything, because your first hearing, it's your first hearing. And if you've been directed correctly, if you've been given the right support and guidance, yes, your first hearing is important. It's extremely important, because ultimately you want to try, as we said yesterday, you want to try and get contact in your first hearing. You want an interim order. That's what you want, is an interim order in your first hearing, even if it's in a contact center. So that's important. But if you don't get that, then you're stuck. You're like, okay, fine. So you're stuck, and then that's when you start not letting the judge finish. So it's not letting the judge finish what they're saying. So interrupting the judge is like a big no-no. Yeah, I've had situations whereby we've had a game plan previously. We've had a game plan. We've gone into court, and the agreement was we take responsibility for what we take responsibility for. We own our doo-doo. It's very easy for that game plan to go out the window. Yeah, because you get caught up in the whirlwind of the emotions, of the allegations of the your ex-partner's very good solicitors, and then they are very good solicitors. You've got to think some of the solicitors that you're going to come across, and people don't understand it. I was saying to someone today, two people today, I was saying, like, when you get cross-examined by a professional solicitor, when you're a barrister, whatever it might be, you're going to be thinking to yourself, how on earth are they allowed to ask me that question? What on earth has that question got to do with anything to do with this case? And they will try and make you out to be something you're not. And they will try and make you maybe words, they'll want to make you angry. They want to see you on your worst day. They want to try and get you to that point where you're going to be kicking off and stressing out and showing your frustrations to the court. And when you show your frustrations to the court, they're like, okay, there you go. This is what we're talking about. This is what the issue we have here. Can't control his emotions, blah, 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 blah. Now, I can say to anyone, oh, you need to communicate with this. I mean, I say to people, your statement needs to be doing all your talking, yeah? And we touched on that yesterday. So you've got to do for me, your statement needs to tell your story. Your statement is your solicitor. So anything you have to say needs to be reinforcing what's on your statement. You don't have to say anything. 9 times out of 10, you don't have to say anything. The best situations you've got that I've been involved with is when the judge has taken your statement, as I said yesterday, and they've just worked through your statement, and literally top to bottom, and then you get to the end of it, and you're like, well, nothing was said. Why no one's talking to me? No one's talking to you because your statement's well written, your statement's realistic, and you're asking for realistic stuff. You keep it in line with what normally happens in these cases with similar situations, and that's where men go wrong. I'm telling you, this is where people go wrong. You're going into court asking for unrealistic requests. Yeah, so you don't know what the court have done previously. You don't know what the how can you put it? Like, say for example, situation. So you've use my situation. you use my situation in terms of my personal stuff. So I didn't know at the time. I was going to court saying, well, I want my house, I want my house, I want my daughter, and I want my ex-wife out. I didn't know at the time that the whole system is designed to protect women and children, and men would generally come up on the short straw. We would come out on the back foot normally, because that's how the system's set up, because it's benefiting the child, therefore benefits the child. So the person who's going to be the main carer, provider, is going to be normally the mum at a young age, and they are going to get your house. No one told me that. So I'm going into court saying I want this and want that, and it was unrealistic. But it wasn't really that unrealistic, because I almost got it. But ultimately, the point I'm making is you have to know what you're asking for. So, for example, I've had some of the people that don't really like my philosophy. So the people who are moaning about the fact that I'm helping people and supporting people by spreading the message of love and guiding people through making decisions that they would not normally make, that they're complaining about what I do. And that's why I want to shout even louder about it, and that's why we need to keep shouting about it, because it's giving love, being humble, offering compromise, showing sacrifice, being pragmatic, and then doing all that at the right time is being child focused. So you don't have to worry about communicating. The communication you have to worry about is the communication you're doing outside of court. So decisions are made outside of the courtroom. So if you're being nice and you're being respectful, because that's the sort of person you are, to the social worker, to the CAFCAS officer, to whoever that you need to cross paths with, whoever you're crossing paths with, and it's to do with your case, you need to be on point with how you're communicating with them. You're going to be frustrated. Don't get me wrong. Frustrations are going to boil over, and you need to be human, but you need to be realistic in terms of your ex has got a solicitor sitting by. They're going through a solicitor, so they're going to be very much any composure they have, any nerves they have, any lies they're told. They're not going to get found out until you do the finding of facts hearing, or until they come to cross-examination and have to speak themselves. When they speak themselves, that's when the whole thing will crumble down. And you have to, every interaction you have is an assessment to, are you the person that they perceive you to be, or the person they're trying to make you to be? That doesn't mean you can't be human and you can't get frustrated and you can't be pissed off, because you need to do that. You need to be human. You need to be upset. You need to be pissed off. But the point I'm making is you have to do it with integrity. You have to do it with disappointment. You have to do it with professionalism. So when you're at work and you're disappointed with somebody, you have to you let them know by being professional. This whole interaction, this whole stuff is about doing it in a way that you are coming across in the best possible light for your child. And that is the most difficult thing. So, but you should have a decent Mackenzie. If you have got a decent, you should have a decent Mackenzie friend that's helping you. And that you should know, ideally, you should know exactly what's happening before you get into court. So you have expectations, you have a game plan. This is what you need to be doing. This is what we need to be going. And this is going to be good if we get this, plan A, plan B, plan C. Understanding exactly what could happen in the court hearing, what might, people, I've got a dictionary with the key words and key phrases and that sort of stuff, but that doesn't always need to happen. That doesn't always, you don't always need that. So I think you need to have a full understanding as to what could happen, the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. And if you don't know what's being said, then say nothing, because they want, sometimes, and I see it all the time, I was guilty of this. They were telling me, and I look back on it now, and I have these flashbacks now. So they were telling me, the judge was telling me when I was going through the non-molestation stuff, the judge was telling me to go and get a submit a C100, and then we'll combine the two, blah, blah. I got to the end of my non-molestation hearing, and I did not submit the C100. And I said, like, can I see my daughter now? And they were like, no, you need to submit a C100. And I'm like, no. And I said, no one was telling me that, but they had been telling me. The judge had my back. So all the time when I'm going into court being an idiot, blatantly being an idiot, and then the judge is still having my back afterwards. And we can think and we can feel that the judges are being against us and they're all against us. But that's even when we behave bad. And then we come out of court and everyone thinks, oh, that judge was horrible, that judge was blah, blah. No, man, that judge was good. You need to have an understanding as to what goes on normally. So if you like, I've got a couple of guys that they've got a decent interim order. So they've got contact center stuff, and it's like they would not, people with the types of allegations that they have going against them, people wouldn't normally have that in a contact center. They wouldn't even have that. So as frustrating as it might be, you've got to take what you've got and you've got to base it on what goes across, what happens across England and Wales. Now, this is the frustration, because we can provide case law and we can say, oh, in this case in the high courts, this happened and blah, blah, and this happened in America, and this, blah, and this is how we would, but ultimately the courts are not bound by their previous decisions. And the reason they're not bound by the previous decisions is because not any one family unit is the same. And you will find when you go on Facebook forums, and you'll find when you go and speak to people, you'll find that there will be similarities in their stories that they tell, and there'll be similarities in, oh yeah, no contact here, blah blah. When you've got, and this is another reason we need to remember, right? There's a large collective, and I've got people who haven't got contact. They've not got contact. Yeah, they've not got contact, and we've got to make a plan to make sure they've got contact moving forward, or to try and make an application back to court in sort of 12 months time, 18 months time, whatever. You can't go off and get bitter when you don't get contact. If you can't get if you're not getting contact and something hasn't gone right and you've been nailed down because it's quite serious stuff and blah blah, and they've not seen enough retribution from you, enough change to say, like, I'm taking responsibility for this stuff. And if they can't see that, if you're not being genuine with a genuine heart, and you're saying, I've messed up here, enough, gone wrong, and this is where I need to be going right, then they're not going to see. The judges are not stupid. They see people all day, every day. I was in a court hearing the other week, and it was by a video platform, and the judge was like, no, I want people to come into court. I want you coming into court so I can see you. It's a final hearing. We want you to be in court so I can, and it's about psychology, because they'll read your body language, they'll read how you're behaving. So again, part of communication, part of making sure you're confident when you're communicating, is being you. And someone said to me, messaged me yesterday, well, do I have to wear a suit to court? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? No, you don't. I mean, people, you wear, for me, you wear what you're comfortable wearing. You wear what it's going to make you feel good. So it's about power dressing, and it's about making sure that you feel good, look good, feel good, smell good. Lila's sort of godfather, Theo, he was someone I worked with when I was doing recruitment, pharmaceutical recruitment in Angel Islington. He used to say to me, look good, feel good, smell good. So, and it works, because if you look good, if you feel good, you smell good, and you're going to be being the best version of you. So for me, when I go to court, I got a bit blasé towards the end of my stuff, because I didn't take it seriously anymore, because it was a farce. But I wear Parkers, or I wear jeans, or I wear what I feel comfortable wearing, because I like to give a little bit of a false. I'm trying to make this. I'm trying to make family court a little bit less corporate, and a little bit less daunting, and a little bit less scary, because I believe, and this is my philosophy, it's my belief, I believe family court should be a place of resolution and solution. And when you're going into family court, you should be coming out of family court in a better situation, in a better place. I don't know anybody, and I still don't know anybody, that's gone into family court and has come out of family court and everything's been better than what it was before they walked in. Because they don't know, because no one's, for me, I mean, there's, how do you think? Check the hint, for me, you've got to think. That's what I think now. Very few cases where people have gone. There's very few people. That's what the worst thing is about people that's calling me, right? That person, that's not even the same number, but it's a fucking scam number. That's what it is. What was I saying? People who've gone into court and come out of court in a better situation, in a better place. I don't think there is. I can't think of a single person that's gone into family court and come out of family court in a better situation than what they were before they went in. But that's down to, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be people going to family court to get solutions, to make sure that they know and it shouldn't be daunting. It shouldn't be scary. The scariest thing that should be about it is the fact that you're fighting for your children, you're fighting for your kids. And I think that's scary, because you've got to, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You don't know, you know what I mean? You don't know what the outcome's going to be. So when you are, again, when you're being communicating with, when you're communicating, don't worry about the big words. Don't worry about you knowing the big words. Don't worry about what you can need to say things how you need to say things. You need to use your vocabulary. You need to, again, it's about being you. It's about being you and taking your time. You need to control what's being said and the speed in which you respond. You dictate the time frame. So there's something that this guy was really good at. He wore shorts for his final court hearing. And I said, you know, first time that ever happened, but that encouraged me to wear what I wear to court these days. So he wore shorts, and he literally controlled the responses that he'd given when the judge was asking him questions. He thought slowly, logically, methodically about his answers. He was under no rush to give his answer back. If he didn't know the question, didn't understand the question, he was asking for them to reword the question. He was literally dictating the pace in which everything was happening. That was frustrating the solicitor, because the solicitor they want quick, fast. They don't want you thinking. They want you to be under pressure. You're under pressure, so you're under pressure. Then they want to keep piling that pressure on top of you and making you feel that you have to do something. You have to respond quickly. You have to do. You don't. It's your court hearing. This is your time. Yeah. So you need to dictate and you need to control what's being said and what's being done and how it's being said and how it's being done, and that comes down from you. Don't forget as well, and this is really important, when I was working with someone more recently down this end, he did his CAFCAS interview. Now, this is something that you need to be aware of. CAFCAS measure, and they take account of how quickly, oh, there you go, there's the big man there, Mr. Blake, there you go, he knows that. He knows that he is a... My man, he's the one in Nottingham. He influenced me to wear what I wear these days to court now much more. Yeah. So but ultimately you need to make sure that you are, when you're speaking to CAFCAS, you are again controlling how quickly you respond, because they measure that. They measure how quickly you respond. If it's impulsive, if you've got, and when people are not listening to what the other person is saying, and they've got their own opinion, they've got their own thoughts, and they're not disregarding everybody else's viewpoint other than their own. So they will be like impulsively shooting down at someone wanting to finish their sentence, and you've got the answer there. Even if you know what you want to say, you've got to literally wait 10 seconds for them to finish what they're saying. Count to 10 in your head, count to 5 in your head, and then answer. Yeah. Literally, you can't be put under the pressure of, you're on, like, what's it called? The Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, phone a friend, all that sort of stuff. But you need to literally do what you need to do, wear what you need to wear, be what you need to do. Listen, you need to get yourself into the zone of controlling and dictating. It's like a game of football. You've got to keep the ball in your half, you've got to keep the football. But ultimately, you've got to control and dictate the speed in which the court case is being run at. Because if you trip over your words, if you say something that's not in line with what's in your statement, then, and this happens all the time, don't get me wrong, it's just not in the word, it does happen, but literally, if you're going to say something offline with which was on your statement, they're going to say, well, your statement says this, why are you saying that now? So again, what I would suggest doing is, and it's not something that I mean, there's things that we do, I'm not going to go about that on a public forum like this now, because that's what we do, that's something separate. But ultimately, what you've got, if you're owning your shit, if you're owning your shit and you've literally got nothing to hide, and this is how I recommend people going through family court. Yeah, this is my philosophy. This is my truth. This is what I do. So you own your shit. If you own your shit and you've got nothing to hide and you're being honest, pure, made a mistake, this is what I've done differently, and you can articulate. And this is the most important thing. You need to be able to articulate what you've done wrong, what's brought you to the conclusion as to, oh, fucking hell, I messed up there. I could have done that differently, and what you've done differently as a result. Now, people do, and I've experienced this so many times. People don't understand the importance of this. Not many people are self-aware. Yeah, not many people like being self-aware. Not many people like being told that they're wrong. Not many people like being told that they could be abusive. It's not abusive. This is why do you have to do this? It's that. Ultimately, it's not my rules. These are just I observe what goes on in court and I see what happens. So I'm letting people know, what's realistic, what realistically could happen. And if you're owning your shit and you're being humble and you're doing all the right stuff, communicating with the court should be easy, because your story is not going to change, your position is not going to change. The frustration is there because every time you go into court, you've got a different court here, you've got a different court hearing, and ultimately, every single court hearing, you come into court, new allegation, new allegation, new allegation. And I've been there. I've experienced it with clients. You know, we come into court. Oh, look, another allegation, and there's nothing more soul destroying when you're not seeing your child. That all these allegations keep coming in, and you're not seeing your children off the back of it. The frustration boils over. I understand, but then again, putting yourself in the position of the judge or the court professional, CAPCAS, and this is where people don't like how I work. If you were in that job and you had parental responsibility of your child, and someone had parental responsibility of your child, you know you're telling the truth. The judge doesn't know you're telling the truth, and CAPCAS don't know you're telling the truth. So if you're not telling the truth, and people, let's be honest, there's been enough murders in the news recently with kids and with kids in families with social services haven't done their jobs properly, and I'm all over that shit. So social services, they pre-plan their meetings with your ex-missus. They'll pre-plan that, so you've got to make sure that you're on point with everything. So if you had parental responsibility of your mate's kid or your niece or your nephew, and you had to entrust someone to look after that child, and it was on your neck if that child was hurt or damaged anyway, you would be taking extreme measures to make sure that child was safe, because you wouldn't want that being anything bad from that child on your watch. Again, we don't like it when we're on the receiving end of it, because we're the ones being impacted by it. But ultimately, respecting that and understanding that goes a long way, because the courts know, they can see that I was in bits when I was going through that process. I was in bits. I was crying. I was going to every single court hearing. I was in tears every single court hearing. I was interrupting people. I remember one court hearing, I had snot bubbles coming out of all my nose. It was fucking ridiculous. I was in tears. I was in bits. I was broken. I didn't know what was going on. Didn't know what was coming or going. And I just wanted to see my daughter. And it was just like, that was impulsive, bad, behavior that wasn't bad behavior, but it was emotional behavior. Yeah, emotional behavior that I couldn't stop. And I get it. Men get criticized. I was criticized for crying too much in front of my daughter. I can't help it. Anytime that I see her doing a school play in a sharing assembly, or anytime I see her doing any sort of performance that makes me proud, I literally start getting emotional and start crying because I'm proud of her. I can't help that. That's never changed, and that never will change. But ultimately, the point is, they were telling me that I was crying too much and I was being too emotional around my daughter. And at the time, I was like, you can't tell me not to cry. The crying's keeping me alive. It's normal. It's what we do. But then at the same time, I understand that they don't want your daughter or your child seeing you being all emotional, because that's going to impact your child. So as much of the time when I'm slagging it up and I'm saying, no, that's not right, we need to declare our emotions, show our emotions, blah, blah, blah. At the same point, I understand the impact that it's had on my daughter, me crying all the time and me being emotional when she didn't need that, when she's being emotional as it is herself. Because she's missing her dad and she wants to have a relationship with dad, but she's stuck in the middle, blah, blah, blah. So it's not easy. So it's a fine line. So as much as I criticize the social workers and CAPCAS for saying that we're not allowed to cry, not allowed to be emotional around our children, I get it that we're being too emotional around our children. And that's why it's not benefit. It's not in the child's best interest. So if you're being too emotional around your child, that's not going to work in your child's best interest. That's not going to help you with your communication. You need to sit, breathe, and literally breathe and realize, as we were saying yesterday, your child is safe and well. And I know the far right will always tell people to do your welfare check, get the police on, do a welfare check. If your child was not safe and well, you would know about it. When my daughter was physically hurt and bruised by her mum, I knew about it. I was told about it. I told them about it, and they put her in my care for a while. Again, that wasn't in Lila's best interest, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I was getting her to school like half an hour late. I was having to sit in the field waiting for her to go to school. She was missing. Again, it's just the whole conflict thing, the whole argument, the whole conflict is just, it's just like not conducive to any benefit to the child whatsoever. So, and I get it again, when you're getting allegations thrown at you, you're getting things thrown at you left, right, and centre, and you're like, well, hang on a minute. Why would I be nice? How would I be loving? Literally, you have to, if you have, sometimes communicating in family court, it's just saying, making sure that the court knows that you are not happy making a decision that you're happy, that making a decision that you're making, but you're making it in the child's best interest. Making the decisions you're making are all being made because you're showing that you're sacrificing stuff. Sure, the courts know that you are hurting. They know when they've got a good dad. They know when they've got a bad dad. And 90% of the time, 90% of my cases, at the end of the court case, the judge will turn around and say, it's obvious that we've got two parents here that love their children. And it's a benefit, but it's thank God when you hear that, because sometimes you don't hear that. And that's when it goes into public court proceedings, public law proceedings, and then both parents who are at each other's throats then have to start working on working together. And then that's a whole different ball for him, because you're then having to convince the judge and the court in a public court proceedings that you can work together in the interest of your child. And the only thing that's changed is that now you've gone against each other, working against each other, you have to work with each other against the establishment. And if you can't get on with each other in the first place, you've got no chance of beating the establishment. No chance. No chance. Because no matter what you do, you end up arguing with each other. See it all the time. So the hurt that you're feeling, the communication you've got, is about being calm, breathing, yeah? And a lot of what I do when I'm supporting people is making sure that we are, like I said yesterday, I don't shy away from telling people what they don't want to hear, if that makes sense. I won't say, oh, yeah, great, you carry on doing that. That's going to be in your best interest, because that's in your child's best interest. If I think someone's talking shit, I won't say them blatantly talking shit, but when they come around and start telling the truth and start saying, well, I have a guy that is such total, he'll get found out for what he's not doing, but he's literally going through everything. And he's like, do you know what? It was like 70% of what I've gone through is my fault. I've looked at it all and it's me. Well, that's good. Now you need to go and own that and actually literally do something with it. Unfortunately, I don't know what's happened with him, but I think people will say they will want to own their doo-doo in the big scheme of things. But when it comes into the crunch matter, when it comes into the crunch of it, they bottle it. And you can't bottle it. You can't. And again, that's why the courts know when the people are telling the shit, when people are being honest and when they're not. Because your communication your psychology will explain it. And that's why it's really important that when you have got stuff that you don't like talking about and there's allegations that are going to come out that you don't like talking about and it's uncomfortable, you have to normalize that in your body. You have to normalize that when you're talking about it. So what I do is we do role plays, we do virtual sort of court hearings or virtual conversations, or I'll just play devil's advocate and say something that literally the person won't expect me to be saying, and then makes they think that I'm going against them, and then how they react. And I'm like, well, see, that's how you react, and that's how you react there, with me not even being as firm or as difficult as what a solicitor could be. And solicitors are much more brutal than what I could be or what I am. So that's what you need to do. You need to make sure that you're having these conversations, that you're normalizing the conversations that are uncomfortable, especially if they're of a sexual nature. You need to be normalizing those sorts of behaviors. And even if it's something that you are sort of clear with in terms of, you know what happened. You don't want to sound like a robot. Yeah, you need to be real. And this is again, it goes back to owning your shit, being humble, showing sacrifice, offering compromise, preparing to be pragmatic, and doing all those things at the right time will make sure that you are being child focused. Yeah, there is no magic wand. That is literally what it is. And if you are getting the right support, then your communication will be on point, because you'll know exactly. You won't even have something to say. Sometimes you'll have loads to say. Sometimes you've got nothing to say, and you don't have to say anything just for the sake of saying something. You don't have to. And if you don't know what it means, say you don't know what it means. Be real. Part of all of this. The biggest thing about all of this is you have to be real, because the courts will see when you're being genuine. When you say your name, that's genuine. They'll pick up your body language. They'll see your body language. See your psychology. When you start telling porky pies and start going off on tangents that just to score points, the courts will pick up on that again, and that's what they don't want. I mean, I said to someone the other day in court, I was like, why don't you say, like, why don't you request this and whatever? And I think it's been a bit over it. And the court slapped us right back. I was like, okay, fair, right, you slapped us back. No problem, we just crack on and accept that judge. Yeah, no worries, apologies, move on. Judges are not there to be your mates. They couldn't give a shit for you, and they couldn't give a shit for your ex-missus. They only care for your children, and they make the decisions that are child focused and in the interest of the child based on based on circumstances. I'm not one of these people. I say to people afterwards, after courtings, if they don't go the way we want them to go. If there's a behaviour that if there's something that someone's done. So, for example, there's someone that I was working for. I'm not sure if I still am. I'm not sure what the situation was with him, but there's certain things that he had to do, and I said, well, you have to do that. You have to go through this steps. He hasn't done. He's done what they asked him to do, but he did it his way. He didn't follow the court order. Now he doesn't know. He doesn't know who this person doesn't know that I'm still filming, but he doesn't know. But ultimately, if he doesn't, they're going to pull him up on that when he gets into court, and they'll make a big thing about the fact that he's gone about things his own way rather than following the court order. Now, that's petty, and it is petty. He wants to make sure he gets a message to his children. Understandable, but he didn't follow the court order, and because the time frame that he didn't like the time frame, because people were taking too long to get back to him. That's literally we'll get pulled back on him, and they'll get turned around on him big time because he has not respected the court order, and then his backlash will probably be bigger because you're then going to get caught on the hop because you don't expect to be told off for some of the things you get told off for. You don't expect to get criticised for having banter and jokes with your children, but you do because if that banter and jokes subliminally are denigrating the mother, then or the husband or the ex-partner, then ultimately that's not in the child's best interest. You 10x, I said this yesterday, you 10x the detail in which you go into the child. And that means having to take the moral high ground and do things you don't want to do. The amount of people that say, I can't speak to that person, can't do this, can't do that. I'm not going to speak to this person. Well, if you're not going to speak to that person, you're not going to do this. You're not going to try and do that for your child. This is all for your child. And you're telling me your child's important to you. And this is what the court will say. This is what the court say. I'm going to run out of charge on a minute. So I'm going to run out of charge on this. I'm going to cut this short soon. So this is what the court say. They need to see you. They need to see and feel what you're doing. They need to feel you making these sacrifices, doing things that you don't want to do for your child. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean it's easy for you to make these decisions and do this stuff. It just means that you're doing it to make sure that your child has a relationship with you. I would walk through walls. I mean, they were breathalyzing me at my daughter's school. I wasn't happy with that. I mean, I probably shouldn't have even accepted it, but I did. And then they breathalyzed me a couple of times, and that's that. It was uncomfortable, absolutely. But I said yes because I wanted them to see that I would do anything for my daughter. And that's what you have to do. That's exactly what you have to do. So communication-wise, get it all down in statements first of all, and make sure you're prepared for what's being said and done. Make sure if there's any conclusions that you could be getting, you've got a plan A, plan B, plan C, so you're not disappointed when you are going into court if you don't get that first plan A, plan B, and whatnot. And yeah, that's about it really. That's about it. I've got some videos. I've got stuff that will help you. I've got a dictionary that I put together. It's not finished, but I've got like a dictionary with terms, phrases, assessments, that sort of stuff. So section 37, section 47. I've got all the definitions of all that sort of stuff. So if anyone wants any of that stuff, then you have to email me. Or there'll be a link available somewhere that just makes sure that I register your details, and then I can send you the stuff out. There's also links available just to become a member. So when you're a member, there's a free membership. So you just you'll get information that I have, that I think of, that I share with people. That's just free. And then you've got like a $4.99 plan, and then you've got like a $7.99 plan. And they're for people who want odds and sods and little bits of support, but don't want to pay for the full amount of, where you might have a 10-minute phone call here or a 15-minute phone call there or whatever. And it's not like a big lots of information, but you're going through stuff. So there's little things there that will help you, to help me, to help you, because I will be saying to people on the phone moving forward, when I'm answering the phone to people, okay, fine, this is a 5-minute call, but this is going to be chargeable. Are you a member? If you're not a member, then let's do a $4.99 thing. Let's do it whatever, because we need to be moving into that sort of world. Tomorrow we've got, I don't know what it is tomorrow. Tomorrow's day 4. I can't remember what it is, but I've got videos for everything for tomorrow. I can't remember if I was working on that this morning or last night, but yeah, there's stuff I've got planned for tomorrow, so that's good. So if anyone needs anything, if anyone wants support, I know there's people who were trying to call me today, and I've been really busy, and that's that. Thank you for watching, people. Thank you for watching. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. If you need to help with communication in family court, give me a shout. And don't forget, be proactive, be positive, yeah, because you will get out what you put in. If you put out negativity, you will get negativity back. If you put out hate, you're going to get hate back. Let's not forget, like, we give love, yeah, you give love, you put yourself in your child's shoes, you make decisions that will not benefit you, that will benefit your child. That means that that means you won't be happy making decisions. It means you won't be happy making some of the decisions you make. If you can't do it, you need to be in that child focus. You need to be above and beyond 10x in anything to do with your children, anything to do with them at all. So peace and love. I'm running out of charge on this one now, so I'm going to go. But speak to you all soon. Bye. Bye. Peace and love. Bye.